Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Golden Astrologer Podcast. This is Deb McBride, and I am broadcasting from beautiful Escazú, Costa Rica, where it is Sunday, the 9th of August, and it is late afternoon here. So, we have lots and lots to talk about. First, some announcements. Tomorrow, I am giving a webinar. It is called The Mars Effect, and if you follow me on Instagram, you'll have heard about it. If you receive my Astrologer's Thoughts blog, you will have heard about it. But if you don't, here's the gist. I am giving a webinar at 6 p.m. Eastern Time tomorrow. It is $20 to attend. Whether or not you can make the time, you can still register, and I am going to send everyone the recordings, whoever registers. That means if you come to the live webinar, you get to see me and ask questions because we're going to have Q&A. And then we are going to send out the recordings once the webinar has completed. So I'll be able to send video and audio to anyone who registers. So if you can't make the time, if you have other things going on, and you would like to see the webinar, well, then you are welcome to purchase it, and I will send you the recordings. Now, if you decide later in the week you want to buy it, that's fine. It will be available for sale, and that will be through my website. The registration is available on my website. You go to the book online page, and you just go to thegoldenastrologer.com, go to the book online page, scroll down, and you will see information about it, and then the description and a place to buy it. Also, there is a post on my website about the new webinar, and there is a post about the Mars effect, and we are going to talk about Mars today. And you can also go right from the link that's in the post on the blog page, Astrologer's Thoughts. And then you may remember that a couple of months ago we gave a class. My friend Laura Flanagan and I gave a class called Transformation for Turbulent Times. It is a lovely class. It will run for 6 weeks, and we are offering it again. So if you want more information about that, the best place to go is my YouTube page, which is The Golden Astrologer. So Deb McBride, The Golden Astrologer. Go to my YouTube page and you will see a video that talks all about, it's actually a doodly video, and it talks all about astrology. It talks about my New Vision holographic scaling system, which we will employ in the process for the webinar, for the class. And then Laura will determine what types of pranayama, breath, and meditations a person will receive based on what their New Vision scan shows and what their intentions are when they tell us what their intentions are. So all the information's there on my YouTube page. And you can also email me, deb@debmcbride.com, or laura@socratescenter.com about the class if you have any questions. We are giving 2 webinars if you'd like to see a demo of the New Vision system. They are both on a Tuesday, and one of them is this Tuesday, the 11th, and we are doing the webinar, and that will be, it runs about an hour or so, and then there's another webinar that is on the 18th. And the link to join the webinar is on my YouTube page. So please feel free to go to my YouTube page and see all about the webinar and see how the time that will be available, which is 4 p.m. My time, which I think is 5 p.m. Central Time and 6 p.m. Eastern Time. So have a look at the YouTube page and you'll get more information about the webinar, the 2 webinars, which are free, and then the class, which of course, there's a cost for the class, and it talks all about that on my page. So onward with astrology for this week. So this has been intense. It's really been intense. And the moon right now is void. As I'm speaking at this hour late afternoon on August 9th, the moon is void in Aries. And before the moon went void, it occulted Mars, which means it shadows Mars. It covers Mars and doesn't let Mars necessarily show through. It's like a veil over Mars. But it's been interesting because actually actually a couple of the aspects that it did shadow Mars, and then it squared Pluto, and then it squared Saturn. And yesterday it squared Jupiter very late in the evening, 11:44 p.m. Eastern time. So what's happened is the moon, as we might have suspected, was going to, it moved through Aries, but it was getting together with Mars, which is squaring all of those planets in Capricorn. And so if you have felt intense or emotional or powerful or passionate, that is probably because you are getting some of the Mars effect, and you are also getting some of this moon action, the moon that is squaring Jupiter, squaring Pluto, squaring Saturn. So it was going to cover Mars, and then it was also squaring all these other planets. It made a nice relationship to the Sun, which is in Leo, as we know. It's an interesting time. So it's been extraordinarily intense the last couple of days, and this morning was no exception. It really felt like things were bubbling to the surface in a major way. So if you have emotional things bubbling to the surface, absolutely. If you have sensitivities to things, absolutely. If you feel like you are going to explode with emotion, for sure. And this is like, Mars and the moon together is one thing that's intense and passionate and powerful, but then squaring all of these planets in Capricorn is like a time bomb. It's like one at a time they detonate, and we feel like we're getting hit one by one by something emotional. And so, it's enough that Mars is doing this, but for the moon to come in and do this, yeah, that's going to be more intense. And this is part of I'm going to talk about tomorrow on the Mars Effect webinar is that Mars is going to hit this, but other planets are going to come. The moon is going to go into Aries every month, and it's going to hit Mars, and all of this is going to get triggered. And so, it's a perfect time to discuss all of this, because everybody needs to be prepared, because Mars already squared Jupiter, and that was last Tuesday, the 4th. At 9 a.m. in the Eastern time zone. And I know I have, my family, my relatives, my friends, clients up in the New York area, and they had a hurricane up there. And, people were saying to me, wow, you said things were going to start on the 4th of August, and they really started on the 4th of August. Well, yeah, and that was the beginning. That was Mars squaring Jupiter. But, one of my family members didn't have power for 2 days, and, I know other people that don't have power, and the trees are down, and so, like, everybody's experiencing something on top of COVID, on top of everything else. And so there's just too much going on, and it's really important we talk about this. And I can talk about it every week on my podcast for sure, but if you attend the webinar, you'll get to see me live and in person and pointing things out on a chart and what it looks like, and you'll get a visual of what that is. So in the meantime, we are coping with, the moon squaring all these planets along with Mars. And so it's intense, and I hope for all of you, I pray for all of you that you had a breakthrough. For me, there was a breakthrough, but I've been pushing for a breakthrough, and I know how to push for an emotional breakthrough. So this is how it resulted for me. But believe me, last week was uncomfortable. Thursday was uncomfortable. The days were uncomfortable, and it was really something that I to experience last week. And it's not finished, because Thursday Mars is going to square Pluto. So, this month of August is intense, and this is not going to be the end of it, because as we know, Mars is going to retrograde on September 9th and going to hit all these planets again one by one, like a pinball machine. So Mars squaring Jupiter was one thing. There's a lot of excitement, a lot of emotion, a lot of passion, a lot of confidence and energy. But then this week it's going to go to Pluto, which is its higher octave, and its buddy in squaring Scorpio, ruling Scorpio. But that's an intense aspect, and it's really very strong. So that is going to last. It's going to be hanging in the air. Plus, there's going to be a Uranus retrograde next Saturday. So Uranus is stationing. Uranus is stopping in the sky. And, there's just too much. It's just too much. And we're all processing on a profound level. And, one of the things that I brought up in my Instagram yesterday was that there are no words. Right now, there are no air planets. So there's a whole bunch of things in fire because the moon's in fire until tonight, 9:28 p.m. Eastern time, which is also 7:28 my time. It goes into Taurus. So that's more Earth. Okay. So it's going to meet up with Uranus tomorrow, and Mercury is in Leo, and it's going to square Uranus tomorrow. So there's a whole lot of Uranian crazy energy tomorrow. But here's the thing. Everything is either in fire, water, or earth. Venus has entered Cancer for the first time all these months since back like late April, early May. Venus has been in Gemini, and now Venus has left the air sign of Gemini, moved into the water sign of Cancer, and we're feeling things. We're feeling things powerfully, and Venus will then challenge those planets in Capricorn. That's not for a little while yet. That's later in the month and at the end of the month. But in the meantime, wowie, what's happening? We are experiencing some really intense emotions, and we have no words for them because there's nothing in Gemini. There's nothing except the North Node. The North Node's in Gemini, but it's not a planet. It's a point, and it's not easy to direct your energy there. It's not easy to feel that. There's nothing in Aquarius. There's nothing in Libra. This week at 9:46 a.m. Eastern time on Wednesday the 12th, the moon will go into Gemini. So that's when we start seeing more air, and it will stay in Gemini Thursday, and Friday morning at 7:19 Eastern, it will go void in Gemini and then go into Cancer at 7:35 p.m. So if you have things to say them on Wednesday and Thursday. If you have things to write, if you have to think hard about something. But what this is telling us is use your gut, use your feelings. Feelings and emotions are different. Emotions are like when you're crying or you're sad or you're depressed or you're joyful or happy, we want elevated emotions. That's what our goal is, elevated emotions like joy and unconditional love and gratitude. Those are emotions. But there's also feelings like, I have a feeling this is going to be good. I have a feeling this is, an insight, an intuition that something is happening. There's how you feel about something, how you feel about someone. But all of this, you need to dig in, go deep, and feel, because you can't think your way through these days. You're going to be able to think on Wednesday and Thursday, but you are not going to be able to maintain that once the moon moves out and doesn't come back into an air sign again until the weekend of the 21st and 22nd when it goes into Libra. So one of the things you want to do is you want to pay close attention to how you're feeling and feel your way through things. And don't process your brain first right now, because it's not going to work. You may feel rattled emotionally. Write it down. See if you can express it. It's hard because, like I said, there's no words. But there's also just the being present with the emotions. And sometimes, and I know for myself, they're just, you can't describe it. It just is. And be okay with that. And that's one of the most important things that you have to do right now, is just be okay with where you feel and what you feel and process the feelings. How do you process feelings? Well, somebody like me, who's very air sign oriented, we usually process them by talking, but sometimes you can't. Sometimes it's wordless. There are no words. Sometimes you just have to sit and be with them. And meaning you take a nap, you lay on your bed, you sit in the sun. Just sit in the sun if you can. Or if you feel better laying in the hammock, or if you feel better just sitting in the easy chair in the living room. Usually something to distract you like television is not a good idea. It's just being with them, just sitting with them, being with them, not allowing them to overcome you, but also not allowing them to be, overwhelming, and not also allowing them to get stifled. So you don't want to shove them aside. So, like for me, I did this experiment. I went out in my garden, which I am very grateful for. And, Friday I sat there and I just felt the garden. And, there are descriptions. There's a feeling of the garden. The garden has a sense. And nature, gosh, nature is so healing and so soothing and so willing to help us process our emotions. So if you can get into nature, if you can go for a walk in the park, and nature is anything. Tend to your plants in your house. Play with your cat. Be with something natural. Be with your body. Feel what your body is feeling. Lay down or take a hot bath and sit with your body and just allow your body to experience the warm water of the bath or the feeling of the pillow against your head or whatever you can do to sort of process the feelings, the emotions that are coming up now. It's not simple. We can't talk very much. There's not much. We can't find the words. And sometimes sometimes it's better that way. Sometimes because you start talking and you're thinking, you're talking and you're thinking and talking and thinking and talking and speaking and writing and I always think writing's a good thing. But really what we want to do is we want to be able to feel things out and just hold them and contain them and be present with them. And that's all they're asking us to do. And allow things to surface. You may be sitting and you feel like, wow, I have this incredible feeling of joy right now. Just be with it. When does that come along? Allow it to happen. So just be with the joy and just let the joy take you somewhere on a journey and just allow it. And maybe it isn't joy. Maybe it's something not so fun. Maybe it's sadness. Maybe it's discomfort. And maybe it's sadness that you are not comfortable with. And you're trying to process it through your brain and you can't. You have to just be with it and just let the sadness. You know what? If you try to shove it away, it's going to come back bigger and better. It's going to come back in your face even bigger. It's going to growl at you. So just sit and allow it to move through yourself, through your body, through your skin, through your breath, through you, through your heart. Be with your heart. And if you be with your heart, you're going to be able to process this stuff. Breathe into your heart. You'll be able to process this stuff. So there's a lot happening. This is not a simple time. This month of August is not going to be a simple time. The Monday, tomorrow, the 10th, is the Mercury square Uranus. So there are rattled feelings. There's being rattled, There's things that you thought that might not be, possible, or things that you thought that are getting you rattled. Don't let your emotions or your thoughts run away with you. I mean, there are no words, but we still our brains still function. So I'm still speaking, I'm not here. If I could telepathically broadcast this podcast to you, I would, but that's not possible right now to everyone. The moon is going to conjunct Uranus 7:05 p.m. Eastern time. And Mercury will square Uranus at 8:51 a.m. Eastern time. Then we go to Tuesday, where the moon is still in Taurus. It's going to make a lovely aspect to those Capricorn planets. So we're going to get a little bit of a breather, because while Mars is plowing from Jupiter, it's plowing the path from Jupiter to Pluto in square while it's in Aries. It's pointing its compass, it's pointing its arrow first to Jupiter and then to Pluto. And so in between, I hope you all have a breakthrough or a process that allows you to have a transformation. The moon trines Jupiter at 11:51 a.m. Eastern time. Then it's going to make a lovely aspect to Neptune, 2:30 in the afternoon, because it's going to be in Taurus and Neptune's in Pisces. And then the moon will trine Pluto at 8 p.m. Eastern time on Tuesday. So that's a nice transformational way to go out. the moon is going to go void at 3:55 a.m. Wednesday Eastern time, and it will be trining Saturn. So that's good. And then it's in the middle of the night if you live in that time zone. And then at 9:46 a.m. it will go into Gemini Eastern time, which will be much earlier for me. But then Mars is getting revved up to square Pluto. So we need that trine from the moon. We need it in Taurus to go through the process. And the good news is that once the moon goes into Gemini, then we can talk a little better. We can articulate a little better. And it will make a good aspect to Mercury, which is in Leo at 8:30 on Thursday night Eastern time. And it will also, the next day make better aspects to the Sun and Mars. So Mars is going to get supported. Those outer planets, Pluto is going to get supported. Even though Mars is squaring Pluto, the moon is going to make some supportive efforts and aspects towards the Mars-Pluto. So at least there's going to be an outlet for this. Thank heavens. So stay conscious. Stay aware. Meditate. Breathe. Stay conscious. And try not to get in any squabbles with anybody. Okay? So, there's some upside down astrology coming later in the week. The Mars square Pluto. And then on Saturday the 15th, Uranus is going to retrograde. So at 10:26 a.m. Eastern time. Now, moon's going to pass over Uranus tomorrow. So Uranus is slowing down, slowing down. And it's in the sign of Taurus. We know it's in the sign of Taurus. So Uranus is really, one of those things where Uranus is, it's at 10 degrees. If you have anything at 10 degrees, fixed, that would be Taurus, that would be Scorpio, that would be Aquarius, that would be Leo, then you know that this is affecting you. And then, once that retrograde happens, Uranus retrograde with, Mars squaring Pluto, there's a lot of topsy-turvy stuff. And then what's happening is on Sunday the 16th, the moon's going to be in Cancer on the 15th and the 16th, and it's going to go opposite all those planets that are in Capricorn. So there's going to be a Sun trine Mars. That's going to be very nice. Thankfully, the Sun is supporting Mars because they're all in fire. And, the moon will press on all of those planets, Jupiter and Pluto and Saturn, all on Sunday. And then on Monday, the 17th, the Sun will conjunct Mercury. So as Mercury is trining Mars. So it's, the Sun is trining Mars on Sunday, and then it's conjunct Mercury on Monday. So, and Mercury's trining Mars. So there's this nice relationship. The Sun and Mercury are talking. There's some words there. And by this time, the moon's in Leo. By Sunday and Monday, the moon's in Leo. And, Mercury is trining Mars. So there's going to be a way to express and to communicate. Then we have a new moon next Tuesday, the 18th, at night, 26 degrees Leo. So that's very powerful. That's great because it's close, close to where the planets are. The Sun and the moon are going to conjunct. And, Mercury is going to be very nearby. And so, Mercury is going to be part of that new moon. And, so this is good. It will make it a communicative new moon. So that's a good thing. So, because then Mercury's leaving Leo and going into Virgo. So again, still no air. Okay. So Mars, the Sun, Mercury, right now the moon, all in fire. Saturn, Jupiter, and Pluto, and Uranus, all in earth. Venus, Neptune, in water. Where's the air? There's not. So use your gut. Tend to your feelings. Tend to your body. And when you go through this week and you are processing what's going on, then, try to keep track of how you're feeling and allow other people their feelings. Allow them space, allow them emotions, allow them just their processing time too. And it's something really, really powerful when you do, give someone the gift of their own space. That's really incredible. And the moon is going to conjunct Venus next Saturday, and that's always a lovely, lovely aspect in the sign of Cancer. And they won't be hitting. It'll be in the morning, 9:26 a.m. Eastern time, so it won't be hitting any of those other planets yet because Venus is still newly in the sign of Cancer. And this is about being with family. This is about being gracious. This is about enjoying good food together. This is about gathering with people that you love. And this is about being in your heart. So allow yourself to be part of this little bit of love fest that we have, even though Uranus is going topsy-turvy. And when Uranus goes retrograde, we don't have expectations. So even though like Venus and the moon are together and you're like, but I want to be lovey today. Uranus is going retrograde. Things it's like, oh, wow, funny. We got to take the car in. It's broken, mechanical things, Uranus. And so allow things to happen and don't be impatient. Mars, Pluto can get really impatient. That's going to hang in the air. It's going to be a couple days before, a couple days after. Allow for this to be a lovely experience with Venus and the moon. If Mars and Pluto are hanging in the air, use the energy to have a breakthrough. Use the energy, not in a volatile way. Use it to be productive because Pluto is productive. Use it to be ambitious because Mars in Aries with Pluto in Capricorn is highly ambitious. So if you have ambitious plans or projects, this is a great time for that. Do not lose your head. Do not drive like a maniac. Don't have road rage. If you're in a bad mood, calm yourself down before you get to that road, before you get into that car. Calm yourself down. And just be aware. Just be very, very self-aware. And that's the most important thing is, through this time, the more self-aware we are, the more we practice self-awareness, the more we practice empathy for others and what they might be going through during this time, and for gratitude, all of that. This is something that is going to get us through this time, okay? And process your feelings, process your emotions, be with them, allow them to happen. If you do get in a bad mood, go for a walk, exercise, get rid of the energy. If you feel like if you're an air sign like me and you want to write it out, go write it out. But remember that, we're all in a process right now. I do expect things in the world to get a little more topsy-turvy. I do expect things in the world to be rebellious. People are going to rebel. Uranus is going retrograde. At the same time, Mars is going to challenge Pluto. People are saying, you know what? We can't go on like this. And so, obviously people are upset by the world events. There's an election coming up in the United States. I don't know that, it will be calm. I know that it's not going to be calm, this election. And I know that there's going to be a lot of division again. So, just astrologically speaking, that's purely astrology. And the other thing is, be kind to yourself and be patient with yourself and love yourself and stay in your heart. No matter what you do, if you stay focused in your heart, you can't go wrong. Come from your heart, stay centered in your heart, be with your friends while you're in your heart. If you need to be alone, you need some downtime to be alone, great. But, be in your heart. So I thank you all for listening. I have great gratitude for all of you. My name is Deb McBride. I'm giving a webinar tomorrow, so if you'd like to be part of it, it's only $20. It's going to be 90 minutes plus Q&A. I'm sure it's going to go to at least 2 hours, probably more. It's 6 p.m. Eastern Time. If you can't do the live thing, purchase the webinar and you'll get the recordings. And I love and am grateful for all of you. Have a beautiful week. Hang in there. You can contact me, info@thegoldenastrologer.com, deb@debmcbride.com. Contact me through Instagram, thegoldenastrologer.com, where I'm making regular videos. Contact me Twitter @debastrology. My blog is Astrologer's Thoughts, thegoldenastrologer.com. Thank you so much for listening. Much gratitude, much love.